The Kejetia market has been reopened for brisk business again 5 days after fire gutted the place. The closure was to afford authorities ample time to investigate the cause of the fire and ascertain why firefighting systems installed in the market failed to work. But after a plea by traders for the market to be reopened, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has instructed that the market be reopened to traders. He gave the instruction during a visit to the market.
The Kejetia market was shut temporarily for an assessment on the extent of damage caused to the facility in last Wednesday's fire. A statement issued by the Kumasi City Markets Limited on Friday said the non-affected area of the facility would be closed for further 1 week. This was based on the advice of experts on the need to assess the electromechanical and other safety installations as well as structural integrity of the facility before granting access. However, the Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, after a visit, announced the market will be fully opened on Tuesday for trading.
Mr. Minister, service for Yakasa, Omosi, Omunima de Kra Ebai. So, and yet electrical fault. So, so, Yamiado and China, Omubebi,
Dr. Bawumia says the government is committed to addressing all challenges affecting the traders.
Shops are
President of the Kejetia Traders Association, Nana Kwesi Prempe, expressed satisfaction in the new directive.
Very much grateful to the government because even for the last 4 days, our majority of our people were complaining of hardships. So it's good news to the traders and we are happy to the government.
The association will embark on a massive campaign to safeguard the market from such fire disasters.
Leadership of the Traders Union have to join forces with the management to ensure that the do's and don'ts within the market are adhered to. And after this, we are also going to embark on a massive education among our members that those things that are not warranted in the market, we are not going to tolerate them. And we also encourage our members that if you see any of us doing contrary to what we are mandated to do, report that person. If the person needs to be sacked from the market, we will ensure that management will do that.
For JoyNews, Nana Boache Dankwa reporting.
Nana Boache Dankwa joins us with more from the Kejetia market. Nana Boache, the traders must be excited that the market has been reopened to them.
Exactly, Aisha. At the moment, the traders are very, very much excited with the new directive, which is the market being opened today. At the moment, we could see a lot of traders making sales. They've started doing business. The only thing that they complained about is the fact that those on the affected lane where the fire gutted, they are complaining about the fact that their shops would also be closed for reconstruction. They are saying that they do not agree with that directive from management. Management are also saying that the directive is to ensure that every place which was involved in the outbreak would be safe. So they are closing all the other shops on the lane that did not get affected by the fire. They are closing all those shops to ensure that the reconstruction takes place and then to make sure that every other place, including their parts that did not get affected by the fire, will get safe. But they are also saying that they can make sales with the current situation at their places. For as long as the fire did not get into their shops, they are okay and they can make sales. That is the only challenge they are facing right now. But at the moment, we can say that the traders are happy with the new directive. They are making sales. They are saying that those who come in and buy their things are not coming frequently as they used to. So they are pleading with them to come. But they are making sales. They've arranged their things. And then also those up there are saying that they want the management to leave their site out of the reconstruction. They would be able to make sales. So right now, the KGT market, this is what it looks like.
Nana, have they been able to ascertain the cause of fire and also why the firefighting system was not able to trigger when the fire got in?
So what led to the outbreak yesterday, the Vice President said that a woman was cooking and that led to the outbreak. That is what he said according to the report he has been given from the Ghana Fire Service. But then as to those alarms not blowing and everything and the other things, the leaders of the Traders Union have said it is something that they have raised concerns about for quite some time, and they did not get any response to that. But right now that the market has been reopened for traders to come in, they are going to embark on a massive campaign and they are going to train traders. But then they are also going to caution management to sound that alarm. So also make sure that those alarms sound anytime that such incidents occur. So they are going to ensure that that is done. But at the meantime, it isn't done. Traders are still in fear. But management said they are going to do something about this, and the leadership also said they will follow up for everything to be in place.
Nana Boache Yadom Dankwa is a man in Kumasi at the KGT market. Has been updating us on that. We definitely will bring you more from the KGT market in our subsequent bulletins. But experts and industry players are this afternoon raising red flags over what they say is dire times for investments in Ghana. They say the recently concluded domestic debt exchange program and government's subsequent default on its obligations has eroded confidence in the investment space. Non-executive director at the Data Bank M Fund, Dr. Dan Sedo, says government must work to restore confidence in the sector. He's been speaking at the Graphic Business Tambik Breakfast meeting.
This has to do with trust. And we need to appreciate the fact that we are a developing country. And not many of us are well educated. Not many of us understand the financial issues. Now, when you find yourself in this kind of situation, you want to address the trusting behaviors. And the very first one is I have to rely on somebody. So I need to rely on the financial market players. Just like when I'm sick, I go to the doctor and I want to believe that the doctor will give me the best of care. And my understanding is that the doctor should know more than I do. So that is the first line. And we need to get the people who play in that space to appreciate this fact and not be opportunistic behaviors. Number two is we have something of value, which is at risk. That is why we are engaging the people in the financial services sector. Now, if we don't have anything of value, we will not even talk to them. There is something that matters to us, and we are concerned about it. We want to get it protected. We want to get it to appreciate. That is why we engage them. And again, they don't have to abuse that. Number three is we know that we have goals. We have aspirations. We know we'll get to a point the strength to work will no longer be there, and we want to rely on our investment. We know we have children who must go to school, so we are saving money towards people going to school. So we need to engage these players to appreciate these things. Now, what you see very often is when these players put emphasis on themselves instead of the customer, then we start getting the problem. So of these three things I mentioned, the bottom of it all is that me as an investor, my success depends on the quality of decision the financial players make.
Professor of Economics, Professor Ebo Texan shares this concern as well.
But if you don't clean up the mess in your economy, that market will punish you. And what we witnessed in middle part of 2021 to 2022 was as a result of that. Because the way the money flies in, the money will fly out if investors are not too confident in the economy. And if you look at ever since COVID hit, we've had a situation where we've not kept to our fiscal consolidation efforts. And therefore, once our debt to GDP ratio went above 70%, investors began to get concerned about our ability to repay. And if you remember what happened when the 2022 budget was presented with the e-levy and the debate that went on in Parliament, Don't forget that the e-levy was supposed to rake in almost 7 billion, which was going to be about 6.5% of the revenue that we were going to collect in that year. So once Parliament was struggling to pass that, it gave a clear signal to investors that Ghana was not going to be able to meet its fiscal consolidation efforts. And then the credit agencies came in, downgraded us, and the trigger started. Remember, at that time, we had said we were not going to IMF.
Yeah.
But when the non-resident investors started taking out their investment in domestic bonds, and our currency was depreciating very fast, oil prices were going up, the central bank's reserves were drying up, it became clear that we needed to go to the IMF. And this debt restructuring is part of the sort of issues that we need to tackle as in furtherance of getting that support from the IMF.
Well, the Pensioners Bondholders Forum is blaming regulators for the current state. Dr. Edu Anani Entry is convener.
Without thinking, because you know that when you need your money, you will get it. Public confidence. And that is why in the objects of financial services regulation, one of the 3 objects is the protection of consumer of financial services. Protection. The SEC people will say investor protection. If you don't protect investors, you won't get any confidence in the market. When this DDEP issue came, I did not see any regulator performing an investor protection role. The government is an issuer of securities, and people who are holding government securities must be protected. The fact that government securities will not go through regulations for approval before issuance does not mean people who are holding that document should not be protected. How come investors were told that I will not give you any interest whatsoever for 1 year? And regulators thought that they have no role to protect that investor. Regulators must protect investors. Look at what is happening at the other side of financial services, the savings and loans and the financial houses. For some 3 years, people cannot assess their investment with some of these institutions. And the Bank of Ghana is looking at it. They don't care.
Board chairman of UBA, Kweku Awachemiwal, says the domestic debt exchange program will not lead to a collapse of banks in Ghana.
I mentioned earlier, our exposure to some of these instruments is relatively small compared to some of the major banks. It certainly didn't make us bankrupt. It reduced our profitability. There are certain measures that a bank thinks about. Profitability is one, liquidity is very important, and solvency is another. There's a term that you may be familiar with called capital adequacy ratio. These things, how much capital you keep to make sure that your customers are taken care of. We're still above those statutory limits. So relatively speaking, UBA actually came off quite well with the debt exchange program, relatively speaking, because our exposure was actually, as I said, quite small. The fact of the matter is a lot of other banks were affected. The industry as a whole has been hugely affected. And I think what we worry about is more about, does that create contagion? But so far, I would say that I think the government is very well aware, and the Bank of Ghana is very well aware of this. So there's effort being made to manage this.
Concerns again have been raised about the adverse impact of the debt exchange on the banking sector, with some predicting that an impending banking crisis, could occur. So does this situation look dire, or is just something that we're saying?
I think it's one of concern, but I also know that the government is, they talked of a fund to stabilize the banking sector or those banks that may have difficulties. So I'm not sure that, the industry will collapse. I don't see that happening.
It is inevitable. Again, the banks will suffer losses quick when, some are expected to face, solvency problems. So what is the situation like?
I can't speak for all banks. I certainly can't. I'm not in a position to do that. But we do know that some banks will be very hard hit. We know this for a fact. Will they go under? I can't say. But I do know that UBA will not be one of them.
Government, meanwhile, says a fund will be shortly set up to assist struggling institutions on the quest to get an IMF program. It says the finance minister's talks with China and the Paris Club will be successful.
Again, we are working on the our debt restructuring program. We concluded the domestic program somewhere last month, and we recorded about 80% success rates on that. It is important to indicate that government has initiated some steps to set up our 1.5 billion Ghana Financial Stability Fund to provide liquidity and solvency support to adversely affected financial institutions that participated fully in the domestic exchange program. And so with this, we are encouraging our bilateral partners, including the World Bank, the AFDB, the EU, and all of you, as well as the USA, to support the government to establish this fund. And we look forward to receiving some positive feedback from you. The World Bank has already committed about 300 million, and we expect our bilateral partners, including the USA, to also support us in this, to help bring back the robustness that our economy had, and also to support our financial institutions.
Let's head to Parliament now, because 3 key revenue measures estimated to potentially rake in some 4 billion cedis annually is to be considered by the House today. This week, the bills form part of prior actions necessary for the IMF program. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante joins us with more. Do you get the sense that the minority side of the House will support government in passing these 3 key revenue bills? Hello, Kweku.
Like, Parliament has decided that Thursday will be the day that they will consider all these financial bills. They've been on the other paper for some time now, and Parliament finally wants to deal with them on Thursday. Our understanding is that the government side haven't gotten the minority support yet, and it is the reason why some of those financial bills have been on the other paper for such a long time. But what the majority side are doing now, because this is by simple majority, if they're able to get all their MPs in Parliament on Thursday, they'll be able to get these revenue bills through without needing the support or the cooperation of the NDC colleagues. And so that is what they are doing now. Our understanding is that on Thursday, majority side expects that all 137 of their MPs will be on the floor of Parliament to be able to get this through. The minority, we understand, have been doing some horse trading behind the scenes to try and see if they could get some agreement. That agreement hasn't been reached yet. And so on Thursday, what we understand is going to happen is that the parties are going to stick to party lines ordinarily, and if the government side are able to get all their MPs in Parliament on the day, then they'll be able to get these revenue bills through.
What else is happening in Parliament today?
So Interior Minister Ambrose Derry was expected to answer some questions on security-related matters. He could not appear before Parliament because he said he has been caught up in the northern region, could not catch his flight to return to Accra. And so those questions have now been put on ice. But the Speaker of Parliament has been eulogizing the former MP for Tafu-Pankrono, whose death was announced yesterday. According to the Speaker, this was an honorable man who put country first in his duties, and that his loss is a huge loss. It's most shocking that the Parliament will do all it can to help the family in these grieving times.
Kwekwa Sante is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Definitely, he will bring us more from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Now, former Trades and Industry Minister and NPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Tremontaine has expressed worry over what he calls over-politicization of issues in the country. He explains the country is currently deeply divided on party lines, adding it's an affront to development. Speaking during his visit to the Wala Traditional Council, he intimated that the country needs a new leader who will work to reconcile and bring all sides together, irrespective of their religion, political, or ethnic background.
The former Trades and Industry Minister, Alan Tremontaine, arrived at the Warner's Palace in the company of some former government functionaries, national and regional executives of the New Patriotic Party, NPP. The overlord of the Wala traditional area, now Hussein Sidi Pilepo IV, was not present during the meeting, and the paramount chief of the Peri traditional area, Na Abdullahi Abubakar Kunjokun, stood in for him.
Send a message that will give to the people, which they will understand, and trust that when you come to power, you can execute it. Then they will vote for you.
Alan Kojo Chiramanten told the Wala chiefs of his mission of wanting to become the flag bearer of the MPP based on his track record of providing jobs for the people, especially among the youth.
As citizens of this country, we should go beyond politics and look for a new leader who can provide the leadership to move Ghana from growth and stability to economic transformation. As a politician, over the last 30 years, I've been talking about three things: jobs, jobs, jobs. So the time has come, my very revered chiefs, for you to have a new leader who would focus on jobs and job creation.
He noted that Ghana for now needs a new leader who can bring the people together, irrespective of one's political, religious, or ethnic background.
The politics in our country is too divisive. You cannot have development when people are divided on almost every issue in this country. So you need a new leader who will reconcile the country, heal the people, somebody who all people in this country, irrespective of their political affiliation or ethnic affiliation, would respect and have confidence in. My very respected chiefs, Tinanas, and then imams, queen mothers, I think I represent the person who combine all these things that I've been talking about.
Alan Kojo Chiramanten appealed to the chiefs and opinion leaders of war to do a silent campaign for him to enable him win the MPP presidential primaries.
This is my humble appeal to you, that first you whisper and talk to the delegates in our party to elect me to lead our party, and at the appropriate time also to talk to them to select and elect me to lead our country.
He assured the people that he will not turn his back on them should he ever become president of the country.
I want to assure you, I want to use this platform to assure you that if it is Allah's will that I become the president of this country, I will not forget the Wala tradition and the people of this area.
However, there is a growing perception here that the former Trade and Industry Minister has never been to the Upper West region, if not for a campaign for a flag bearership race. An assertion that spokesperson Yo Bobona Samoa parried away.
I don't believe that is absolutely accurate because his ministry has several projects in the region. No, he couldn't have not been here if those projects are here because he's a very hands-on minister. Wherever there are projects, he makes sure, even if it's one factory, he makes sure that he steps for there at least once. So once there are ministry projects in the region, I am certain that he has been here several times before.
The Alan campaign team is on phase about the maze of endorsements that Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia seems to be getting. For them, they don't seem as a stumbling block to their victory.
How do you determine that the main opponent is the vice president? We don't consider the main opponent to be the vice president. We consider Alan in a competitive field where he's ahead and he will win. Yeah. Oh, no. Listen, Alan has done this severally. He has competed against who we call the tiger in the house, the man-eating tiger in the house, 3 times. You are aware of that? Sure. And today, the man-eating tiger is no more. So who is the one who is going to step into the tiger's shoes? It is Alan Chiramating.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Meanwhile, his biggest contender, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, received a resounding welcome by NPP faithful and other observers at the Akwesidai Festival in Kumasi. During his visit to the Asantehene, the Vice President led over 100 majority members of Parliament to pay homage to the Otumfuo II.
The Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia led over 100 majority members of parliament to pay homage to the Asante-Hene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II on the occasion of the Akwasi Day Festival. The wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, and several supporters of the new patriotic party were received at the Mensha Palace in Kumasi.
Time we are seeing a Muslim who is a leader, okay, who is rallying support from even the Christian community. The man is building mosques, he's building churches, he's reaching out to the clergy, and he's dining and talking and thinking together with the clergy. For me, I've not seen anything like that. Such religious tolerance is something unique on the continent, and I think we as a people must value what we have, we must celebrate it, and we must flaunt it.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament Joseph Osei-Wusu said the visit is to seek the blessings of the Asante-Hene for the presidential bid of the Vice President.
We came with him to demonstrate our support for his bid to lead the MPP in the flag bearership parade. That is why all of us are here today to support him, to greet Otumfuo.
The Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, who spoke on behalf of the Vice President, highlighted the significance of his visit.
Recently, Otumfuo, together with the Vice President, commissioned the renovated Central Mosque. Now, I don't even say it's renovation because whoever knew of the old building will tell you that it's a completely new structure, which can accommodate about 7,000 worshippers. So he's also here to express his gratitude and appreciation to Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Asante-Hene, for all that he's done for him since becoming the Vice President. Finally, you know, whilst he was preparing to come to celebrate the Akwasi Day, then he heard on last Wednesday evening that there was disaster at the Kajitia market, the new Kajitia market. So he's also decided that once he's in town, he will visit the place, have a first-hand information to know the level of destruction of the market, and then, so that when he goes back, he can inform the president appropriately.
Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma said it was important for the Vice President to pay homage to the Asante-Hene on the occasion of the Akwasi Day Festival.
The calendar of Ashantis are their celebration. It's like the Christmas calendar or the Easter calendar of the Christians. So it means a lot to celebrate the Ade in Ashanti.
Meanwhile, the Vice President is expected to visit the Kejitia market after the fire outbreak last Wednesday. For JoyNews, Nana Bwache Dankwa reporting.
From the NPP to the NDC, former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Baio, says his decision to leave the medical profession to become MP is for a good cause. Speaking to the media after filing his nomination to contest the Lambusi seat, he noted if he is given the nod, he will rebrand the NDC in the constituency to make it the surest alternative for constituents.
The 41-year-old clinical epidemiologist Titus Baio interacted with the media after filing his nomination test to contest the orphan Lambusi constituency seat. He spoke about why he wants to leave the medical profession for politics.
It is for a good cause, and we will not let you down. Look at Lambusi. We remain the only district without an inch of tarred roads. Look at our party office. It is nothing to write home about. We have to do this address outside because of the sheer heat, lack of a light, and anything in the party office. Dr. Baio is coming on some basic principles. First, to revive, retool, and revamp our party. In the coming days, we are going to resource the party from all the branches through to the constituency level and get our party to work.
He talked about rebranding the NDC to be the only choice for the people of the constituency.
We are going to rebrand the NDC in Lambusi to become a party that will win elections in perpetuity. And it will be a strong and vibrant force to reckon with. The next thing we are going to be looking at is our health sector. I think my involvement in the health sector in Lambuse is known to all of you. I was part of the first team of doctors to perform any surgery in the district. For years, Lambuse district, of over 50,000 people, not a single surgery could be performed here. Our women had to travel to adjoining district to have simple surgery like cesarean section. We have changed that narrative and we are continuing to change it. We have seen that from the ranking from one of the media portals, Lambuse district ranks last out of the 11 districts in the BEC performance. We need to improve the numeracy, the literacy, and the performance of our students. And I have made a pledge that by the time my first tenure will end, Lambuse will have a functional community library where our children can sit and read.
Dr. Baio is expected to slug it out with former MPO of the area, Edward Kala Iwaladere, and Dr. Emmanuel Kambampanyang on May 13 at Pahalari in the Wise constituency. Incumbent member of parliament, Dr. Godfrey Seru also filed for a second time in parliament and hope to be second time lucky.
You would realize that as a lawmaker, I have tried my possible best to make sure that I qualitatively represent the people of Wa East in the House of Parliament. I have played various roles, pronounced on a lot of issues of national interest. I have represented and articulated the needs and challenges of the people of Wa East in the area of roads, in the area of agriculture and its support, in the area of education, in the area of health, in the area of poverty alleviation.
And in our Ghana Man series, when we talk of waterfalls, which name comes to mind? I'm sure it will be Wuli, Tagbo, or Boti Falls, right? But have you ever heard of Walla Falls in the Bumfo Biri Wildlife Sanctuary in the Ashanti region? If you have ever visited the tourist site, then good for you. In today's Ghana Man series, Kojo Yangsing took a nature walk and crossed the Pame River to witness the stunning cascading water called Walla.
Today, we have made the 80-kilometer journey from Kumasi to explore this rather large sanctuary spanning about 53 square kilometers. It's been here since 1975 and it's under the daily management of the Forestry Commission and their ever-present armed forest rangers, who told us that before coming to the sanctuary, visitors are required to first go to the district office in Kumewu to buy tickets. If I'm honest, the stillness of this hot afternoon and the total absence of any trace of animal life whatsoever makes the mental image of this vast field, filled to bursting with buffalo, even more enthralling.
So, what is the name of this river?
It's Pame. Yeah, Pame.
Ah. Wow, it's beautiful. And is it connected to the waterfall?
Yes, please. From here to waterfalls, it's just a small distance.
Oh, so it's now going to the waterfalls. Wonderful.
So when you can do this place, we call Bonfubri. Bonfubri. That small part, is Bonfubri.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So we are going to cross?
Yeah, we can cross it.
Okay. You go first. Let me see how you do it.
Yes, a small. So come slowly.
The rock formations are really nice, eh? I mean, if not for anything at all, even before you see the waterfall, you would have taken 100 beautiful nature wildlife selfies, you know, to make your social media pop and show that also you're a tourist. In fact, let me take some myself.
Obahasia, we're in a nice place.
Come, let's take some selfies.
Finally, here it is in all its glory.
Whoa.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. Now you can get fruit.
I can go closer.
I can go closer.
Is it slippery?
Yeah, it will slip.
If I stand on, I'll fall.
Yeah.
I'll fall.
Yeah, but you can watch and watch well.
I thought it might be a good idea to get as close to the falling water as possible. I was wrong. Slippery rocks made it a very dangerous proposition.
So how deep is the water?
The water is a meter from the top coming down.
If I stand inside, where will it get to?
It's like it will enter here.
My chest.
Some here.
That's quite deep. And do people swim here?
Yeah, they swim.
You know, from above, this place really does look like it was plucked out of a nature magazine. A beautiful cul-de-sac of rock and water.
This is your job there. I can't do something. It's our job there.
Nature. Think camping. Think unspoiled beauty. Think the road less traveled. Think untinctured idyllic scenes of nature. Think road trip with an epic picnic at the end of your journey. Think Bomfubri Wildlife Sanctuary. In fact, don't just think it, explore it, and thank me later.
We're still live on JoyNews today. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you business.
Hello, good afternoon. We do business now. I am Beverly Broom, a former president of the Ghana Association of Banks. Al-Hassan Andani has described the falling spree of interest rates as welcoming. This comes after interest rates fell once again as government treasury bills were oversubscribed by about 40.3% to the tune of 3.89 billion cedis. Speaking to Joy Business at the Maxwell Investment Group Forum, Mr. Andani said this is key to support the private sector through scaling back lending rates.
Demand for the 91-day T-bill is high, pushing the yield down. This follows the successful completion of the domestic debt exchange program, with interest rates on the money market witnessing a significant fall. Meanwhile, a former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Al-Hassan Andani, said this is necessary to aid businesses access credit from banks, hence aiding in the expansion of their operations.
Well, it just means improvements, not just in the government's own debt borrowing burden, but also it will scale back the aggregate lending rate. The T-bill rate is part of the formula that determines lending rates of banks, or what we call the Ghana reference rate. Now, for me, the T-bill rates coming down is just a natural thing to do, because Ghana government could not, offer itself to be paying 35% on its own currency, and therefore it's only appropriate that we determine a rate that is much more sustainable. But I think the downward trend is very welcome. It will drag down the Ghana reference rate and improve the lending rates to enterprises. Otherwise, with a T-bill of 35% and inflation at wherever, and the monetary policy rate, I just could not see how the private sector could borrow and make money out of borrowed funds. Well, the Bank of Ghana has, their inflation targeting is a policy, and therefore they have to reflect what true inflation is. But there are other factors, the demand and use for money. They have to target whatever their inflation is.
Speaking at the event, Chief Executive Officer for the Maxwell Investment Group, Maxwell Ampofo, entreated young people to explore various opportunities in their quest to start their businesses.
We are here to find solutions, seize opportunities that lie amidst these challenges. There are opportunities within all of these challenges, and our focus is on how we, as a community, can harness our strengths, our resources, and the creativity to build resilience and foster growth in the face of adversity. This forum, organized by Maxwell Investments Group in collaboration with the Zongo and Inner Cities Development Secretariat under the Office of the President of Ghana, is a testament to our commitment to fostering a spirit of collaboration, a spirit of innovation all across board. Not just from one sector, but all across board. Let us seize the opportunities laid for today and together chart a path towards a better, more resilient, more prosperous future for Zongo and inner cities, and by extension, the whole country.
The MIG Business Forum aims to engage key players cutting across various sectors and the general population in a solution-oriented approach to support businesses. James Ishen's reports for Joy Business.
And that's all for business. We have more business at 1 p.m. on Marketplace. I am Beverly Broom.
Muftau Nabila Abdullah here with sports on Joy News today. Black Stars coach Chris Hilton says his focus is to build a winning team rather than rely on what many have described as a style of football. According to him, what is important is to secure results for the senior national team, the Black Stars.
I think what you do is that you always have to judge what you think and what you perceive as success and failure nearer to the time. And you also have to remember that what is deemed as success and failure is different to different people. My responsibilities are, and what we have to remember is that I have the responsibilities to, if I look at the present squad that we have, remember, we went into a World Cup campaign with the youngest squad in the World Cup. So my balances are on bringing these young players through, and also making sure that the experienced players that we have in the squad can be a good combination. So it's always going to be a mix of what is the most important thing, and the most important thing is always here and now. We have two games this week, and this is what the most important thing is. But I also have to have an eye on development, and I think I would be judged on a way a team play, what I've made from the players that we have, whether I've been managed to get the best out of the players that we have, and have a support, and this is the most important thing, that have a support that enjoys seeing their team play. Now, what is judged as success and failure will be perceived in different ways. Ultimately, at this moment, it's about winning 2 games this week. It's about qualification to get to AFCON, and it's doing and preparing the team as well as we can from AFCON and performing the best that we can.
Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus, Lawrence Tatizigi, Kamal Sowa, Adena Jiku, many of them have arrived in camp as the team departs Accra to Kumasi to start preparations for that all-important qualifier against Angola on Thursday. The senior national team, the Black Stars, have got 4 points after 2 matches in the ongoing and African Cup of Nations qualifiers, which is scheduled for 2024. So all the players are expected in camp before the team flies out. They are expected to arrive in Kumasi at about 14 hours GMT. That is 2 p.m. Local time, and they'll hold a training session at Bayero Sports Stadium at 4 p.m. Up next is Showbiz.
Everyone has a story.
In fact, there was a time I decided I have to stop the music.
A story of that unique place that gives them a vibe.
Mochumio, Midday.
It's a spiritual moment for me whenever I have to record music, because whenever the place is dark, I feel I'm in the studio alone, even without the producer.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews today. Now, it was an awesome time at the Oil Dome as patrons were treated to spirit-filled ministrations at MOG's New Wine concert. Here is all you've missed. Worship, praise, thanksgiving was the atmosphere at the MOG's New Wine concert. Worshippers were in high spirits as musicians Kofi Osopepra, PSA Esther, Ohima Mercy, and Klato took their turns to a wonderful time in God's presence. And when the brain behind the program, MOG, mounted the stage, the atmosphere was taken to a different level. Some ministers spoke to JoyNews.
The grace of God, I know we felt the presence of God. God has used us as He wants to use us.
He's the one who gives us the inspiration. He works in us to will and to do. And I'm thankful to him. Amen.
Kalasiamo's report for JoyNews. Away from MOG, Ghanaian music heads are drooling over the idea of possible collaboration between Sarkodie and US rapper and actor Ludacris. So Ludacris is currently in Ghana, reportedly working on new music. In a video on social media, the American hip-hop artist was seen in an apartment eating a plate of jollof rice. And the visual posted on the Countryside Crooner's Instagram stories was captioned, "Guess who linked up after 11 years at Ludacris?" On the back of this, fans are convinced the interactions could birth a new music. Sources say the American rapper and actor is working on a project expected to feature some African musicians and producers. Well, that'll be all for Showbiz here on JoyNews today. There's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
Good afternoon, Becky. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin.